Welcome to Live from the Heart podcast. My name is Anne-Claire Meret. I help beautiful beings feeling empowered to create their lives. I coach, teach, create programs, write books, among other things, and I love it. It took me years of healing and coaching, but I finally found a way back to my heart. Today I thrive and help people thrive too. Everything is happening faster and faster. I feel we are being supported in so many ways. I know we can thrive on a collective level. If you want to create from your heart, you're in the right place. Welcome for another episode today where I am delighted to welcome Alys Jasmine Robinson. Welcome, Alys.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, because I've asked you to be there in the podcast because I've been so inspired by who you are and what you've created. I feel that there is a lot of dedication and love and generosity in everything that you're creating. And it also feels simple as it's simply flowing through you. But it's probably not so simple because it was probably a whole journey that you're going to share with us. I had the chance to visit Life Project Education that you've created here, close to where I live, in Ovita, Ojochal. And this is a beautiful center to educate children and empower families and educators and the children to connect to our deeper humanity through holistic transformational education programs. And I absolutely loved it. When I visited it, I felt very connected. I wish it existed when I grew up. And I felt very inspired to share your story. So I know you don't do it so often. You just told me. So thank you very much for deciding to speak up today and sharing your story. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to share my journey and this beautiful co-creation that has blossomed in our community in such a beautiful way. I'm so proud and I appreciate so much your support, and inviting me to share this story means a lot. So thank you as well.
Can you please introduce yourself for the people who don't know you yet?
Yes, so my name is Alys Jasmine Robinson, and I am a teacher by heart and passion and divine assignment. From the time I was very, very young, I was blessed to have the awareness that this is my journey, that I am meant to be a nurturer, a guide, and a teacher, and that is something that I connected with and followed throughout my childhood and into college and my career as a public school educator in California, because that's the path that a teacher generally takes. Is you go to college and get employment in a public or private school. And so that is what I did, and worked as a public school educator for 10 years in California before having some very strong realizations that my soul was not feeling fulfilled by the structure in which I was offering what felt like a really beautiful gift through me. It wasn't blossoming or being received in the way that I felt it deserved. And so, long story short, I left. And that is how I ended up in Costa Rica with this. Now we're in our 9th year of Life Project Education. And yeah, it's been quite the journey. I did not come to Costa Rica with the concrete intention to create a school. I left knowing that I needed to explore something different and to be open to trust the opportunities that may arise and not have a plan or an attachment to what my next step in my journey needed to be. And upon arriving in Costa Rica and connecting with families out here, Life Project was born, not from a plan or attachment, but from an organic need from the community members in Costa Rica for something just like this. So it really was a birth that happened because of many different families,
Mm.
myself finding each other in a moment where we were all at the same time seeking something different, myself seeking a different way to bring my gifts to this planet, and families simultaneously seeking something different for their children's education and childhood. And we found each other, and together over years, this has organically blossomed.
Wow. This is amazing. It was a leap of faith. You knew that there was something else which was possible, and you followed your heart, and you were not attached to the form.
Exactly. And that was a very, very big practice for me because, admittedly, from the time I was quite young, I was also um, a perfectionist, very detail oriented. Many might describe me as a type A personality where I really needed and appreciated knowing what was coming next and having control of outcomes and trying to plan things. And in coming to Costa Rica and learning how to adapt and how to surrender all of that, that is how Life Project unfolded, was because I surrendered all of those needs for attachment to create something specific, but to just listen and observe and to follow the breadcrumbs and be a yes and take big risks and co-create and not have any expectation for what happens next, but just to follow what felt exactly true and right and from the heart in that moment. So this project, this school, this community center has really been a creation of complete trust and surrender and a testament to what can be created from non-attachment and from organic cultivation within community.
Wow. And how big is it today? Can you share with us how many students you have, how many families are part of it?
Yeah, so in 2014, in Manuel Antonio, Costa Rica, I was working with just a handful of families doing private tutoring. And those families were the ones that called me into deeper service. They asked me to consider homeschooling. And together we took this great risk, and I opened up my 2-bedroom, 1-bath rental property in Manuel Antonio to 8 children and their families. And we began an experimental homeschool collaborative project. And I had been coming from a middle school background in San Diego, California, teaching 12 and 13-year-olds. So now working with 5, 6, 7-year-olds, it truly was a very big shift in my experience and comfort. And yet I really wanted to explore this with these families and hold space for what they were calling me to do. And year after year, more and more families learned about what we were doing. We grew from 8 children the first year to 16 children the second and third year. And by that year, I knew that there's something quite special about what's happening here with the families and with the educators that were joining this vision, this movement, and seeing the transformation that was happening within the community, with the children and with the families and with our educators, was incredibly inspiring and empowering. And I knew that this is a deeper calling, and decided to look for property to expand, to get out of the rental property and really drop some deep roots. And that's when I found a property in Ojochal, further south. And we opened our first year in Ojochal in 2019 with 30 children. And then the pandemic happened and all sorts of things shifted. But it did end up, I realized there were so many beautiful silver linings and rainbows that blossomed through the pandemic. And the year afterwards, we reopened with 60 children. And this year, our ninth year, we are beginning with 80 children, ages 3 to 14. Last year, we opened our preschool, and this year, we opened our middle school for 12 to 14-year-olds. So we're now serving families with children 3 to 14, and significantly more children than our very, very first year. So it's been quite an expansive adventure for sure.
Wow, this is amazing. And what I love about it is the surrendering part, because it feels that there is a lot of people who have ideas of building something beautiful, and they tend to, because of the perfectionism and because of the willingness to know every step of the way, they feel that it's kind of frozen, to move forward, because we don't have all the answers unless we are moving towards what we want to create. So you just started it organically, and then it grew so much, because it was not only from your heart, but also it was a great time to do it, and was really needed, and you felt it and you went for it. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I feel really grateful that it was 10 years ago that I received what I now recognize is universal, cosmic, spirit driven, whatever you wish to receive it as. But it was a strong message that I knew I need to separate myself and do something different. And because I listened to that 10 years ago, and I had the foresight to be open to creating something completely different that felt with full integrity and from the heart, that by the time this pandemic phenomenon happened and so many parents and families began to wake up, so to speak, and realize that they absolutely needed to separate themselves from the system the same way I did 10 years ago, I had already slowly, with my community, created a space for these families to welcome them when this all happened. And I now realize, looking back, that that was such a blessing that I listened to that, and that I knew this was something that needed to happen, and that um, we were able to position ourselves very delicately over the last several years to be a space, a safe space for families to come during and after this time. And it's been such a blessing now. There's so many families, more than ever, more than I ever could have imagined would feel called to this kind of education. But I think because of what's happened in the last couple of years, specifically with so many more families and individuals recognizing the deep need for something different, we've already established ourselves and are continuing to reestablish and evolve with all of the new families that are joining us. So it's been an incredible blessing and a testament of the importance of listening in that moment to what's whispering to you, and to trust, as scary as that may be, and not having it all figured out, but just realizing one step at a time. It doesn't have to be perfect, um, and it never is. It's constantly changing and adjusting and growing in response to what's happening in that moment.
Yeah, it's very inspiring. And you created a format which is I guess you had to learn trying, and then making mistakes, and then trying again, and figuring out how it works for the kids and for you and for the team and for everyone. What are the main challenges that you've been meeting on the way?
Ooh, well, there've been both logistical, intellectual challenges in how to navigate turning something that is, for me, heart and soul. And I am a teacher by spirit, by virtue, by assignment, by every fabric of my being. I'm a teacher. But what I recognized in this journey as it grew and grew, and we we made ourselves a legal business in Costa Rica so that we could operate with full integrity to the country's laws. Um, I had to I had to receive the challenge to learn what it means to turn my mission and my love into a business and wear a lot of hats that I never anticipated ever wearing. And I'm sure a lot of your audience and yourself included can connect a lot with this is how to navigate staying completely in the heart and in full integrity to what this vision is, while still operating all of the structures of a business and finance and accounting and central management system and risk management and all of these things that I had to learn along the way that were not things that I really loved, but I knew was a very important part of my journey as well, to be an empowered and aware owner, operator, founder of something that was growing bigger than I ever anticipated. So that has been a great challenge. And the other more personal challenge has been to ask for help in these things that have challenged me, and to realize that in being vulnerable and reaching out to the community and asking for all sorts of support, energetic support, and um, support with the physical infrastructure and building and bringing materials in and finding the right teachers and asking for help with these things like accounting and just saying those words, I need help. And that's been a very big challenge for me. And the moment that I really became comfortable opening those doors and inviting more people in to help, the more this project has blossomed in the most beautiful ways. So that's been a great learning experience for me, is to not be alone in this, and to invite so many different people. And is when I opened that energetic door, they arrived. They arrived, and this program is thriving in so many beautiful ways because I've opened in that way.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much because as just like a lot of people, I grew up in a very individualistic environment where you have to be, you have to be the best one, and you have to strive to get what you want, and you're alone in this, and hide your projects because we don't know, someone can take it from you, things like that.
Right.
And growing up, I realized that's not true, because every time I had a great idea from the heart and I was sharing around me to people, they were always curious about it, and they were very supportive and saying, how can I help you? I really feel this vibration that emanates from you when you share it. I want to be part of it. And it happens just every single time.
Yeah. And in inviting so many others into this journey, it really has become an incredible co-creation that the parents are involved with, community members, so many different educators, the children themselves, that when I surrendered, again, that need to protect it and make sure that it, finding that balance of holding the integrity of what that original vision is, but also allowing new visionaries to join and add new flavor to what this has become, in releasing that and inviting in more energies with discernment. The entire structure and energy of Life Project has grown in so many ways that I've been able to learn from myself. So I've been really appreciative of growing in that way.
And now you have a lot of people reaching out to you to understand how you did it.
Yes.
How do you support people to create that too in their own way?
Yeah, well, one of our many expansion projects, in addition to expanding within our own community, adding preschool and middle school and eventually high school, we have a fellowship program, teacher training program. One of our other expansion initiatives that I'm very committed to, because I see the need for it, is creating a template that can support other community-based education initiatives, whether it's a pod school, a village school, a group of homeschooling parents that want to do something completely unique on their own that represents their intimate families, philosophies and visions for their children, or a large-scale transformational retreat center or community that's being built that wishes for an aligned educational opportunity. There's so many different opportunities to support organic community-based education, but what doesn't exist that I've witnessed is a template for how to do this, a template that I never received when I recognized that this is what was happening. We're creating a school, we're creating a community center. I've kind of pieced it together, all of the legalities and the infrastructures and management systems and philosophies, and we've documented our processes, and we wish to create a template so that these community managers can send teachers to be trained, and we can also offer them a guide of how to do something similar, not completely replicable, but how to create something that is representative of your community's values in a way that is aligned with the holistic transformational principles that I think so many of these folks that are reaching out to us all do wish for. So we are in that process and really excited by the energy that's arriving to support that process. And we have a vision of creating a network of holistic, transformational, new earth style education centers in Costa Rica, eventually around the world, that we can all tap into a global resource space and share with one another, where children can go to these different centers and receive a similar, aligned, but really unique geographical experience. So that's my big expansion project and vision for this year is creating that template.
It's already happening. I feel it.
Yes.
What do you think will happen when there will be more and more of those projects around the world? What do you think will start to happen within families and within communities, and then, the society globally?
Well, I think that it's going to set the foundation for what is happening now is a global shift in consciousness. And the way to supercharge and accelerate this process is to bring it to the children and to their families in a systemic global manner, giving access to children and families a way to be sovereignly educated outside of the structures that have dominated our society, that we all can see now clear as day have not served humanity. And so the more we can bring this vision and support those to execute this vision on a small, intimate scale and eventually on a more widespread scale, I think we're going to see a much swifter shift in the next generation's consciousness. And I think that, along with a lot of the other structures within our medical systems and our health and wellness, education, and the way that we're building communities, all of these elements happening together and creating new structures simultaneously, we're going to see a completely different culture, a different way of living that is more aligned with so many of our soul's purpose that we're realizing right now.
It's beautiful. I'm so much looking forward to live in this world, but I feel that I already do, because by living here in Uvita and surrounded by beautiful people like you and beautiful projects, I feel that it's already happening today. And it's we just need more and more people listening to their hearts and figuring out how to take the leap to create that also within their communities everywhere around the world. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I really wish for. I wish to support, if it's one family or an entire community of families, to feel empowered to take that step to do something a little bit different and to offer the actual concrete resources to support them. I think that's what's going to activate this movement in education much quicker, is to get the resources in the hands of the parents and the educators, the administrators, the community builders, to completely revolutionize how we build education structures for our children and for our families.
This is so exciting. Mm-hmm. What would you like to share for the people listening to us who have projects, who wanna start somewhere? Where would you recommend them to start, or how would you recommend them to stay committed when things get hard? Do you have any advices for them?
Yeah, well, I think the number one thing is to start. That can feel like the most frustrating piece, is if you don't feel like you have it all figured out yet, but you know that there's something inside of you that you wish to create, but you don't have all of the answers yet. I think the first step is really just to take a step and to align yourself with others who share similar visions that can be a support. I think having a community around you is incredibly important, to reach out, to not be alone or to self-isolate in the journey of creation. The journey of co-creation is so much more empowering and supportive, and will activate your own vision to fruition much quicker. So I think that's one thing that I've learned along the way that I wish to invite other visionaries to consider, is the importance of not doing this alone, and to find your community of educators or wellness practitioners or artists, musicians, whoever it may be, that share a common vision, and to reach out to them, use them as a resource.
So important. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Is there anything you want to add to this conversation? Something that feels important to you?
I thank you so much for the work that you're doing in raising awareness about education, and creating an opportunity for me to share my voice in this way, and to give Life Project an opportunity to be seen. And I invite any of your community, family or educators who have any interest in doing something similar or learning more, that we're very open to receive visitors or messages and happy to support anybody's journey with education. Really appreciate that opportunity to raise the awareness about this new type of education that we feel so strongly about can change the childhood experience and our families.
Thank you. Thank you. The moment that I visited the place, I felt you. I felt the place. I felt how it was, the values behind it. And it was so obvious that it needed to be more into the light. And I wish for you that there is more and more people who will be attracted to what you created and that it will replicate around the world. And I'm a very optimistic person. I think it can happen really fast.
Thank you so much. Yes, come on by anytime again. See how we've grown so much in the last month since you've been there. Already so much more has been activated.
I will. How can people reach out to you? What's the best way? Where do they find you?
We maintain a fairly active social media channel that serves sort of as a scrapbook of our learning, Life Project Education on Facebook and Instagram. And we also receive messages at info@lifeprojecteducation.org, and happy to support our families and educators that have any questions or wish to come for a visit.
Wonderful. And I will share your links so that they easily find you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for your presence. If you've enjoyed this episode, share it, like it, save it. You can follow me and connect with me via social media and my website, simply with my name, Anne-Claire Méret. See you soon with more content from the heart.